just say welcome to the Tea with T and T. My name is T. Um, I'm one of the hosts of this show, and my pronouns are he and him. And my co-host is Tamara Lee. Do you want to? Her pronouns are
She and her. Hi, I'm
she,
Tamara.
her,
I am the editor of Blaque magazine.
and um. So this is a show. I mean, if you followed us from the Facebook platform today, Facebook was giving us a little bit of problems. So we had to switch over to IG, which is probably, lost a couple people in translation. I'm sure. I don't even know if we informed the people we was leaving and moving over here, but we just said the show must go on. Um, so yeah, welcome. So today we're actually going to be discussing the movie Sinners. And we have Victoria Von Black. I'm sure you can do a better introduction of yourself than I can do, so I'm gonna let you go ahead and do
I
that.
can't. Actually, I'm really bad at my own intro. Hi, I'm Victoria from Black. I don't know if I can say pronouns in this political climate that we're living in. I thought they were put out. But if I'm able to, I use they, she. Um, After last night, he told me it was giving she, her. Um, but here we are, right?
All
Yeah, I'm a
right.
columnist here with Blackout Magazine. See, I told you I'm really bad at this. See, so here we are.
I just feel like all of our energy is so low because we just went through so many things to get here. Like we gotta pick it back up.
Oh,
Hey y'all, thank
look,
you
I'm
for
still
watching.
look,
trying to get it on my iPad, so I'm
look.
still working.
At least we got Shay. Shay followed us
Hey
over.
Shay.
If y'all,
Welcome back.
if for those of y'all didn't know, Shay is Manning Productions. And we at Blackout are gonna be dropping his we gotta share his flyer because I don't think he sent it to us so we could share it yet. I know I personally
Mhm.
got it, but I don't know if he sent it to the Blackout page so we could share it. We did get it together, and we're glad that you came over. I feel like Shay is gonna be like our next guest. I feel it in my bones, but let's stay on topic. All right. So today. Sinners, Victoria, how you
Sinful
doing?
Sundays.
It's definitely a sinful Sunday. So for y'all who didn't see the trailer or have not seen the movie, this is a Michael B. Jordan flick. Um,
hmm
and it's a really good movie. And it takes you know what they I don't think they ever said what year exactly it took place in.
I was
1932.
Was it
say it does.
32? Oh, okay.
1932.
Okay, 19. That might have been the part I missed. 1932. Um, but yeah, and it's about two twin brothers. Who
Cousins, they said.
fly.
Remember, he told the white man cousins.
He did tell them cousins, because he said, "Y'all boys sure do look alike."
Right.
Triggering. Um, mind you,
At least they actually looked alike.
Right. It's.
maybe.
I had to turn over and go to tea. Like tea. Now I know I have been smoking. I also know I'm, in a different place in my journey to dismantling certain things. I was like, are they the same person? Or
I
I
Do
was
you
like,
feel
they
see
like
look
two
alike.
people? Do you see two people too?
Two people that look alike. Cause I was like, it's
I,
it's
I said it's Michael B. Jordan twice. I think she thought it was who you thought it was.
some very handsome black person.
No, you thought it was somebody else. What's the rap? The producer. They got the baby by Jocelyn.
Oh, Stephen
Stevie
J.
J?
Stephen
Yeah,
J.
He is
she
not
thought
a
it was
very
Stevie.
handsome person. He's
She
from
thought
Buffalo.
it was Stevie.
However, he's from Buffalo, so you might see him on your way to the store.
He, he did.
Oh,
Yeah. So she did ask me if that was Stevie J. And I'm like, no, those are both Michael B. Jordan. But so Yeah, but that's what we're gonna be talking about, sinners. So I'm gonna tell y'all, for me, let's just start with my favorite part in the movie. So I'm gonna say, for me, my favorite part in the movie, was when they were all dead and
The
all the different
intergenerational.
the intergenerational music started playing, and then they had like the music from their time playing. They had the music from the 80s playing, the 90s playing, the hip hop playing. They
Hmm.
had the African
The
dancers. They had the tribal
masquerades.
music. They had
Hmm.
the Korean the
Chin-
Korean
Chinese.
was it Chinese?
It was Chinese.
Okay, they had the Chinese people dancing as well, their ancestors in the mix too. And I'm like, that and then the roof was on fire. So that was like my favorite part in the movie. Because for me, I'm a music person, and I just like the way that it show how the music may have changed over the years, but it has the same. For me, it signified that the music has the same soul, even though the patterns and the way we hear it may have changed.
I'm one of those people who like won't go see something just because everybody's going to see it or everybody's talking about it. Like I'm that person that didn't watch Scandal till like 3 years after it was over. Like I'm just contrary in that way. But
Hmm.
um but I was so interested to see so many people talking about one thing that like I really wanted to go see it. Like I was gonna wait till it came out on TV, honestly. Before it came out, like it was one of those things that I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna definitely watch that at home on my big screen. But so many people were in dialogue about it that I was like, I gotta go see it. So I went. I've actually gone twice now, because I went by myself the first time, and then I went and took, yeah, like pose. Like I'm that person. I don't know. I don't be want to see stuff everybody else is saying. But I really was interested in the dialogue because I don't think I've seen this many people talking about something so significant. Like, everybody in the world would be talking about like some BS. Oh no, did we lose her? Oh, I bet she's going to add from her iPad. Um, she says she requested invite. I sent you an invite, Victoria, but I don't see a request yet.
I think she got to come back.
Yeah. Oh, they.
She,
Oh,
yeah,
she
she
just
not
left.
here. Yeah, I
Okay.
think she got to come back. Something.
So, I was so interested to hear something that so many people were talking about. There wasn't like like garbage drama stuff, and so I was like, I really got to go see this. Plus, I have been on my own like spiritual journey, I guess, like just really trying to solidify for myself. Me and Christianity have been teeter-tottering over recent months to the point that I feel like I couldn't quite ignore it. Like I'm more Christian than any other religion, but I consider myself spiritual, not religious anymore. And so I feel like things keep getting introduced in my life that's really pushing me to like pick a direction. Like decide what you're doing with yourself. So I don't know. The stars all kind of aligned, and I feel like I really needed to see this movie. I think that I think it was obvious that one of the most powerful scenes was the dance scene. Like it just was. Ryan Coogler is a fucking genius. Like but the levels and the symbolism and the Easter eggs in this film are just unreal. And I think that what strikes me more than anything of like all this commentary I've heard is how bad at critical thinking so many people are. Like hearing some people, like obviously art is the kind of thing where like everybody's gonna get something different from it. Like that's natural. But like a lot of the takes that I've heard, like People
So
just really fucking missed it, and it's astounding to me. And I've listened to, like, I must have listened to 100 different videos of people talking about it because it's just so fascinating to me to hear what other people get out of something that's so deep and so layered and so big and has so many themes and so much to talk about and so deeply related to our culture and all the things. But like people, like I have been floored.
you
Like
know,
there's certain things people say, and I'm like, what movie did you watch? Like that's not. Mm mm.
I think um I think for I so I wish Victoria hadn't got kicked off because we actually saw the movie at the same time. And then a few of the scenes that we talked about, there was what there was supposed to be a few of us to go see it. Only three of us made it. Let me just start there. Somebody thought that if they came to the movie an hour and a half after it started, they would still get let in. Don't ask me. It's definitely girl math. Sorry, Tam, and any of the other women watching. But I'm gonna be honest. That's what
I
I
don't know
call girl
why
math.
they'd want to see it after 2 hours or as an hour and a half.
But um, so we watched the movie and we were talking. We was all three talking about it after, and some of the parts, I could definitely. We definitely had totally different takes from it.
Really?
Um, yeah, and we all saw it together. So,
Oh,
um,
she's back.
oh, she's
Yay!
back. So I was just saying how we all saw the movie together
Mhm.
and how we all had totally different takes on some of the scenes.
Victoria, because
Um,
I had said like what struck me more than anything, like we could talk about individual scenes, and I think that everybody will like or get something different out of everything single one. But like what struck me is like how bad people are at critical thinking
Oh,
because
fuck
like
yeah.
when I see it, like I've probably watched a hundred videos of people talking about this movie just because I'm so interested to hear what people think and say about it. And obviously, with art, everybody's gonna get something different out of it. Like that's the point. But also, I heard Ryan Coogler talk about it and what he was trying to accomplish. And also, I watched the fucking movie. And so, like, I know what did and didn't happen. And so, like, I'm floored to hear some people's interpretations. Cause, like, where did you get, like, where did you get that out of that? Or how did you miss this very pivotal point in this scene that completely contradicts what the fuck you just said? Like, blows me. So tell me what scenes y'all watched that people got different things out of. I'm so curious now.
We actually got the three of there was three. Okay.
I
So
see.
there was three people and we were walking back to my hotel room and we were talking about the second ending
Okay.
and what
Spoiler
that
alert to
meant to
anything you
us.
see. You might want to leave if you haven't seen it yet.
Right. It gives when he was at the bar and they was like, yo, we got two people outside. You want to let them in? Blah, blah, blah. And so me, T, and our other person were talking about how what this scene meant, right? And I still remember where we were at. We were like in the hallway, like one or two rooms before my room. And T was like, so what did you think about about the ending, right? And I was like, I cried about three times in the movie, and that part really was one of the ones that really hit me in my chest because I
Okay,
was like,
so what was your interpretation?
my interpretation. I'm trying to remember what he had said, but in my interpretation, it left room for another sinners, right? So how I saw and why I said that is because everyone's law about, and I mean, that just brought me back to another part, but for that part, everyone's lore about vampires is different, and everyone has a different take on how it happened. And so we were talking about this later on, I'm all over the place. I apologize. Later on, we were like, oh, there's references to Judas in here. There's references in here to not the Moors, how the Welsh took over Ireland. There's references to there's lots of references, right? And so in this one, like in a lot of vampire lore, they're like, if you kill the maker, you kill his whole line. He, and I use he as the general's term in this case. And like the maker was killed, but two survived.
But they specifically said in the movie that
Yes, you
that
have to kill them
yeah.
separately. And it's interesting because they said that, but you see how when he got attacked, they all got
They all
attacked.
felt it. Yeah.
So it wasn't separate. So they kind of fucked you a little bit because it was like they say one thing, they did another, but then it came back again. So, so the cousin comes in with his white girl and they're bopping in there and they're Coogee and the bamboo and shit like that. And the fact that he was still alive and he's only showing up now because of a promise he made to his twin that he wasn't gonna fuck with you. He wasn't gonna fuck with his lineage, his line. He said, keep the line cool and we good. Cool. So I appreciate that because I was like, no matter what you are going through, family's important. And once he was able to get from the direct control of homie, I guess maybe because of his proximity, he was able to think again. He was able to think on his own type tease. That's how I
Yeah, I
took it,
imagine
right?
that when he killed him that probably like broke his
Control over him.
whatever. Yeah.
But also able he was also able to get away in enough like distance that the guy getting killed did not affect him. So what really got me was the fact that the cousin realized that obviously these two niggas are still alive. You know what they are. But the cousin didn't look like he was scared. He didn't have no fear. Like he was just like, oh, I'm gagged. But like, okay. And they were able to sit there and have a conversation, talk about what I can't remember everything that they talked about, but I remember the end conversation, obviously. But they were able to sit there, have conversations, have a drink, talk their talk, and be civil. And when he was like, I have a nightmare about y'all once a week, and, and how everything that happened is fucked up, but at the end of the day, that was the best day of my life. And, and then when homie was like, same, between the music, the culture, spending time with my family, and I got to see my last sunset with my brother that I love, who I miss, who I'll never see again. Like that shit had me. Like I was crying because I was just like thinking about how Mary is sitting here, probably still love this man, even though she about to devour hell out this motherfucker. She over here drooling, no self control, but he can sit there with his family, have this whole moment, no matter what his instincts are telling him. It was one of those things. I was just like, ooh, I'm getting all feels, because I'm just like, why can't people like treat trans people, treat anyone who might be considered alt or different It don't matter what you are. We are family. We can sit in the same space and like have like, remember the good times. I may not like you, but I love you. And because I love you, I'm not going to eat you. I'm not going to mess with your line. I'm happy that you were able to live this long. I'm happy you were able to take this guitar that I lied to you about how you got it and whose guitar it was. But like we were able to just sit here and break bread. Well, not break bread, have a drink and kind of just catch up. And when I'm done, I'm gonna leave like a civil person. I'm gonna give you those $200. I haven't put together what that $200 mean yet, but I'm gonna leave these $200 here for you. I ain't gonna fuck with no one in your establishment because she was looking at homie at the bar like, "Oh, you a whole appetizer. You a whole ass appetizer," and they just left. And so for me, I'm like, I can see that being a sequel where when he finally die, maybe they come to the repass. The repass usually happens in the evening or the afternoon or whatever the case may be. Maybe they come to the repass, introduce themselves to their family that they didn't know, and was like, I knew your uncle, I knew your cousin.
From what I understand, they're building the same thing with the Center series that like Marvel did with like the Marvel Universe,
Mm-hmm.
where there'll be like a bunch of different offshoots, so like prequels and sequels, and like the
Mm-hmm.
indigenous story from the people at the beginning, and
Oh,
what happened with like the daughter
right.
after the thing, like
We talked
whatever.
about
So
that
like
too.
there's I mean it could have been AI, I guess, but like it was a thing of Ryan Coogler like speaking to an audience, like a panel or whatever, and behind him it was a whole screen of like all different, like the same thing he did with Black Panther, the same thing he did with the Black Panther series. So like, I hope that's true because there are so many more stories to tell in that movie that I
The daughter could have became a vampire slayer. Like I think we talked about that too. The
yeah.
daughter could have became a vampire slayer, right? Obviously, homie had the one who got scratched up. Homie had brothers and sisters that were in that cabin. But
Well, right. I mean, and just the rest of his life, like what happened
right,
between
what happened between from
1932
here
and
to here?
1992?
Right.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot to think about, but that part really like hit me in my chest. I think T looked at me and was like, "Did you cry?"
I mean, I think for us, maybe because we are men, we saw that scene totally differently. Because you got a real like gooey version of it, but I think as a man, like it didn't hit like that. Um, so for me, what I got from it, and the other guy who was with us too, he got pretty much the same thing. Um, I didn't know how I felt about him coming into his establishment with his girlfriend, them all dressed in hip hop 80s bamboo earring down, Coogee sweater down,
Vanjie cunt.
uh, appropriation of culture down,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Appropriating culture down, and then you slap $200 down and say, "Play for me." I'm not your show monkey. I'm not playing for you.
Yeah, we did have that conversation, and I was like, "But T, he black," and he was like, "But who he with?"
But also, it doesn't matter because sometimes it's your own kind.
Yeah,
Look at what that I ain't
you
even about to bring
leave
up.
Candace Owens out of this. She's
I'm
doing
not.
her best.
Yeah, I'm not because they gonna shut us down. I'm not even gonna bring up Omarosa and all of them. I'm not gonna,
One
But
thing I think it is important to talk about though, like we look it's important to look at when you talk about the Mary character, that was her name, right?
Yeah.
Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Mary,
When you talk
right?
about the Mary character, you can't look at her through like the lens of the ways we consider race today.
Right.
because
And that's
back
what I
then
mean.
back then she was black. Like
Mm.
she was passing, but she was black. Like back then black people would have considered her black and white people would have considered her black
If they knew that
because
she was white.
right, if they knew,
But she
well,
was, but she was, no, because her husband is white as
Yeah,
no, no,
well.
no,
she's
no, 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 no. Wait. Her entire family grew up in that black town. What wasn't clear to me is what the rest of them were, because she said her grandfather was mixed, but like what were all the other people in her family? Because those people didn't live white.
What?
All of those, they could have never raised the twins if they were just white people pretending to be white people living in white world. They said that her family grew up in that town with all of those black people, and that's why she was considered family. They were, so back then she wasn't white. Back then all the little piece of
Uh-uh.
black she had was black until she chose to pass. And that's why when she came back home for the funeral, her husband and and people didn't come with her. She had to come by herself
right.
because, and the only reason, and she never wanted that life.
No. Yeah,
She
she said, yeah.
He made her go that way because he felt like that was the best life she would have, but she would have been considered black by them and the people around
But
and that
She
community.
would have been
So
but she
Abigail.
also, I mean, but she also used that to her privilege as well.
she did, and it's
Right.
not a conversation about
Right.
privilege because I don't disagree with
Right.
that
It's
at
not.
all. But in terms of like appropriation, like in the time she lived, she would have been black, and she knew she was black, pretending to be white. Like it wasn't a matter of, oh, she's got like a smidgen of black in her, and so she's picking and choose. Like at that point in history, she was a black woman pretending to be a white woman, even though she clearly was very white presenting. And Hallie, whatever her name is obviously a white woman. But it's
Right.
important to remember that, like back then, she would have been like if that man she was married to found out that she had that
She would have been
drop of black in
lynched.
her, she was black. She would have got lynched. Her whole family probably, that whole town probably would have got burned down. Like back then, she was black. So I would imagine it would be expected for her to carry that mindset with her into the hundreds of years that she lived after that or whatever. But
Not to mention, I don't know if it was Smoke or Stack it was, but like, not to mention, her piece was the bangiest of all the twins.
facts.
He was the bangy boy. So of course, no shade. I mean, of
Okay.
course, you do have places like obviously Kim Kardashian dating Kanye back then. She was still very much a white girl, but she got cornrows occasionally. Same thing when you think about J Lo when she was dating Puffy. She was still Miss Puerto Rican Princess, but she's Puerto Rican Princess. She may have a Dobo in her bag. You know what I mean? She wasn't the way she was now.
Right.
She's a different kind of Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So again,
I agree with you on that one,
she
sis. I
definitely
agree
used
with you
her
on that.
Okay.
privilege, and I think there's a strong commentary there that because she felt like she could like kind of like bridge her whiteness to
And she
I
did.
whatever.
think
Like
that's what it
I
was
think there
for
was a
me.
strong theme of that there, which caused the original whatever that was whatever. Like
That's
so
what
it's
got her
not to take
killed.
away. So
Yeah. That's
it's
what got
not to
everybody
That's
take.
what got
killed.
her. Yeah, she got
That's what got
her white.
everybody killed.
That's what
Her
everybody. Yeah,
whiteness
right.
killed every. Oh, and so we talked about that too. It was like it is the white one. First of all, that wasn't lost on me that the three white people was the vampires at first, and they tried to come into a black establishment, and then they got the Octoroon and was like, "Hey, you a dash of me, you a dash of them. What's up? I'm gonna get this money from these white people because I can get it in a way that you can't get it. Oh, okay, oh, okay." And then she went out there and and look, you see, she went from being, "Hi, how are ya?" to being real Banji cunt at the end. She played both parts of that coin at that moment. And so, like, I guess I definitely agree more with Tamara about that. Even though, like I said, because me and T, I was like, T, I
Right.
don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see what you're saying, but I understand what you're saying. I don't see that, but
Right.
I
Right.
see what you're saying. So I can see what you're saying to me. But I was just like, yeah, it was the Mary character for me was interesting. Now you said she's a 100% white girl in real life.
No. So apparently, I told you I don't watch a million of these fucking videos, so I know all types of background shit. Um, apparently, I don't know what Ryan Coogler. Can you get her, please? I don't know what Ryan Coogler originally wrote it as. Like, I don't know what his intention was with that character, like what to make her. But apparently, Hallie, whatever her name is, in real life, her grandfather was mixed. So he
Mm.
changed the character so
To
that
fit
it
her.
would right, so it would more resonate for her or whatever. So I don't know what it was originally written as. Like, I don't know how, if she was just like directly mixed, like not 15 times hand mixed. I don't know. I haven't heard him address that, but I do know that that is her story. And so it was several things that I guess he, like the vampire dude, he actually is really Irish,
Right.
the head vampire, like in real life,
Right.
and really did sing and really did dance when he was like
The
a
river
kid.
dance.
And
Hmm.
so he like brought that into the story to make it more relevant for him. And then with oh god, I knew I was gonna forget his name. The old man, the old blues
Uh-huh.
guy. I can't think what his name is. Delroy
Slim.
something.
In the movie, he's named
Yes.
Slim.
Yeah.
Who just was fucking phenomenal. First of all, fucking
Hmm.
phenomenal. He deserves somebody's Oscar or something. He
Hmm.
was fucking phenomenal. Um, apparently, so I was watching a video, interview where some man was talking to him and the kid, and he was saying, the dude was saying, like, it really, one of the scenes that was most powerful for me was when they were in the car, and he was telling the story about the convicts. Now that part made me cry.
I think I cried
But
there too.
it was so profound what he said, because you could hear, he's like, that really, I've heard other people have commentary about that scene saying it's also incredibly powerful that that Ryan Coogler found a way to tell that story so dramatically and passionately without showing it, so it didn't turn into that like classic like kill
Right.
black porn.
Right.
Found the
and
porn, yeah. Hmm.
and
They put the
so
sounds to it though.
that sounds to it, but it allows you to, so it allows you to feel it without making and tell that story without having to show that as part of the
Hmm.
story,
Right.
which was amazing. But this interview was saying like that was one of the most profound moments for him, like hearing him start to hum, and like this direct correlation that he all of a sudden understood between blues and like where it came from and the pain that it was born out of. Like he understood it in a completely different way after watching that scene, because this man was like, I think he was like Spanish or something. And so you could tell dude got like really emotional about it, and you're like waiting for him to talk, to like say why he was so like affected or whatever by what
Hmm.
this man was saying. So apparently him telling that story was not in the final cut. They they did a viewing of it in LA or something for like the cast and like the media or whatever. And he went to Ryan and was like, you can't take that out. Because I guess when they were shooting that scene, there wasn't a script. Like they were all just reacting. That's why the kid didn't immediately start playing the guitar. Michael B. Jordan just turned around like, you got a guitar, boy, play it. Because like he didn't catch the moment the same way that they did. And so like he did that, and that was completely off script. And then the kid started playing. But I guess they had cut that whole scene out. And dude was like, you can't, like it's so important, you need to hear that story. And so that's how he found a way to let use his real audio of him telling the story, and you hear it but you don't see it because it wasn't supposed to be in the final whatever. But like things like that, the way that he let the character, like wrote the characters into the script to like make it more, I don't know, profound for them or like direct. I would be interested to hear what it was supposed to sound like originally, like without those pieces, because I think that however he was originally writing it could have very much changed Mary's story in it, and it could change a lot of the character stories in it, because instead he made it take on the actors,
Hmm.
But I mean, I think it worked. I think
It
he
worked
did what he came to
fabulously.
do.
Yeah, it
I
was
think
an
he did what he
amazing
came to
film.
do. But it's just
Right.
interesting that like little pieces like that can completely change like how people take the story.
I think it was also intentional how he did like Mary's character. So the way Mary's character came in is like, I am a white woman. I'm a white woman looking, even the way she stood there. And it kind of felt like it kind of gives let me cook. It made me feel like when you meet someone and you're trans and you don't say you're trans. So it's like I met you, the perception I have of you, and slowly but surely, you're like your guard may come down a little bit, and then she got comfortable because the way she showed up at the beginning of the movie was not how
Well,
she,
see,
even
took
before she
it.
turned into a
I
vampire,
took
she
it like that.
still.
That was the space she was in because until you got to the part where they were singing together, all the people you saw in the background were white,
Hmm.
and so to me, it was just explaining what passing is.
Hmm.
That you take on one character when you're with one set of people, and then when you're in another set of people, you take on who you really are, or
You
another
can take that
character,
mask
however you
off.
want to say, whatever, like whatever you want to say, like. So it's like, to your example, like walking through a room full of cis people and just carrying it, or going to a ball and acting like you're in a room full of people who know your tea. I guess like that was how I took it.
I was just like, it just reminded. I was like, ooh, I was like, ooh, I've been there, sis. We've been there before. So like it was it was all masterfully done. I need to get a drink real
Masterfully.
quick.
That's a great word. That's a great word.
But it like when I tell you that's what I was like, I want to be shroomed out. Next time I see it, I
I
need
could
to
never.
be in the zone. Because baby, if I was in the zone, auto zone, by just smoking a blunt, I can only imagine the way I would see the whole situation when I am thoroughly like tuned in to like, ooh, the fact that the wind blew three leaves across the screen at this moment, the representation there, and this means that and that. Because that's what I was like, I was talking to Tia about, and I think it was Tia, was it Eris? I don't know who it was, but we were just outside. And we were talking about like the importance of how close the Chinese and the black people were. And then it even plays out today in today's society
With a
how Chinese
store.
restaurants,
With a fucking store. That was the shit that bugged
the
me out.
stores, because that store to me was nothing but like the hair supply store,
Yeah,
the
literally.
Chinese restaurant, because there's a close relationship. And I was telling, I don't know who I was saying, I was like, but I remember like the conversations that I was reading when I like, I do my sex work classes and stuff like that. And I tell them about the Page Act. And, the Page Act was, when, Chinese people were building a railroad. And so that was like the first immigration law established in America. And like who that targeted and why you have so many things like in New Orleans or Texas, whichever one it is, but it's like they have their own version of like was it yaki soap? It's something like that. Like there's a black version of a Chinese or an Asian dish, and they're like, "Well, who the hell made this with this beef stew?" And I was like, "That is a product of having the Chinese culture and the black culture mix."
Yeah.
And like there's a deep connection between like Asian and blackers.
That's why Korean fried chicken is so good
Exactly,
because
because the
they
GIs in the
in the
fucking
war.
World War.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep.
how they got it.
Yep.
And like I love shout out to Elton Brown. I don't know if he done anything bad, but hopefully he hasn't. But the way that he even had to check a Japanese lady when she was like, I love Korean fried chicken. And he was like, really? Do you
Been
know
like,
why it's Korean fried chicken?
right.
And she was like, no, how did it get so good? She was like, he was like, because of all the black soldiers that went over to Korea for the war, and some of them stayed. One of my uncles went over there and brought his family back. He got married and brought some. of them kids. So it's like there's been a relationship between blacks and Asians, which was so hurtful. Why they did the whole thing with affirmative action, and they still gagged. But here we are. But
It took me
like
out that they sounded black.
They they
That
they do. I mean, I don't know too. I mean, the Asians I know sound like us. They grew up where I grew up at. Like
So I know one nail shop I used to go to in Rochester, and they was real hood in there, and they did. But for the most part, I haven't experienced that. So like most of them hold they are Asians typically keep a strong proximity to
yes,
whiteness,
mm,
just
yes.
like
unfortunately,
Spanish people. So I've never experienced that. So I mean, outside of that one nail shop, but
So I mean,
that tripped me out.
when I was in my 20s, and I used to go out a lot. I remember meeting like this Asian girl in a club, and like the music was really loud, so I'm like, okay, I couldn't really hear what she was saying to me, so I'm like, okay, we're dancing, that's cool, whatever. Um, but afterwards, like when I could actually hear her voice and like hear her talking to me, I'm like, damn, she talk more hood than I do.
I just think like in
I
the
was
movie
yeah.
it was very symbolic because clearly there was a white store and a black store across the street from each other, like black only, white only store, but they sounded black, which means the community that obviously accepted them as a part of it was the black community, because you would sound like the white people across the street if it was
But
the other case.
they own
but
both
they had
shows. If I remember,
both
No,
stores though.
yeah, they own
that's
both of
my
them.
point. That's my
Yeah.
point. They owned both stores, but if you sound like black people,
Yeah,
then that means the community that accepted you in was the
right,
black community, or you would sound like the white people.
right. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah. hmm Unless they were just code switching, which is
But
is a
they
thing.
didn't, because when they had that conversation, she was across the street when they started having that conversation. When the daughter went to go get her, that daughter sounded the exact same way across the street as she did when she went to go get her mama, that
Mm.
she did when she got back across the street.
Valid. Okay, I get you that. I get it. I get it. Yeah, it definitely was something like because, and I mean, I know that, and I don't follow this girl because the only videos of hers I'll watch is when she does not sound like a stereotype. But like Lovely Mimi or something like that, Lovely Mimi or something like that, the
Oh yeah,
nail
What's
tech
that?
lady who
yeah,
was on
yeah,
Love and
yeah.
Hip Hop or something
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, okay, okay.
And I know that has been a subject. I'm like, some people say, oh, she is part black. Some people say she's just like that because she was, excuse me, like kind of like the argument to say like people who are not black and people who are not white, anyone in between that are you're kind of like a blank slate, right? And wherever you've been dropped at, you absorb, like like for lack of a better term, like tofu. You gonna take on
The flavors.
whatever
Yeah,
you have been absorbed into.
yeah.
And so, like, that's why I seen arguing. Like, I haven't cared enough to be like, let me go do the homework on her to figure out what she is. But I've seen arguments like some say that she is part black, some say she's black by
I was just
injection.
gonna say by injection, maybe.
But like, some people, they, people have feelings about this situation, right? And like, my only issue with it is like, don't take from it. If you're gonna take from it, you need to give to it. Point blank, period.
What I also
But like,
thought was interesting that I don't think any is people are attributing like the downfalls of the whole community on Mary. I think, which I don't disagree with,
disagree. White pussy's a
but
black man's kryptonite.
but I think that you can hold the wife, the damn, I can't remember her name.
The Asian wife.
Um yeah, just as responsible, because
Oh,
she's the
because she
one. They
invited them
could have been
in.
inside, that Mary would have been out in the hallway like outside everybody else. Somebody says she's Asian, but she got a black baby daddy.
And Jackson.
Mhm.
I mean, if that's the case, then I've been ding, 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 for a very long time, and it's totally fine.
Jesus. But yeah, like, I think you can hold her. She, to me, like, and I didn't catch it as much the first time I watched it as I did the second time I watched it, and I was like, oh bitch, like, she bit his hand. They were trying to cover her mouth so she could stop saying come in, and she bit his hand so that she could say come in, and it didn't make any sense. Like, I get that they were threatening her daughter, but like inviting them in here saves your daughter how? Like,
So her instinct was like, look,
Yeah.
everybody, the people who got the power is right in this little area right here. They're trying to get us. There are no like cousins down the block. The five, let's just say there's five of them. The five people that are trying to get us and threaten my family are right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be proactive while y'all out here trying to be reactive.
yeah, but
I,
was
I'm
So
not
my
saying that
so
I would have made the
I'm
same
gonna tell
decision.
you I'm gonna tell you what I got from that. So I got from that is when it really hit her was when the dude started speaking Mandarin,
Yep. Oh yeah,
right?
blew her
And he
fucking
said
mind.
I got all of his memories and I'm gonna go get your
Lisa,
daughter.
I'm gonna get
Lisa.
little Lisa. He's
So
an actor. I'm gonna lick you in the way you like to be licked.
he
I'm gonna go
just
get
so
all of Lisa.
so for so you know when it comes to like Asians, they're very strict about their like lineage and what they leave behind. I feel like,
yeah, but if they would have kept came in and
but
killed her, they
wait.
would have still went and got Lisa. So like, how
So
does that help
in
anybody?
her, I feel like in her, like she said, in her mind, you know what I'm saying? She's like, I need to, cause Lisa gonna open the door and let her daddy in. That's a given. If daddy go home, Lisa's opening the door for real. So in her mind, she trying to get like even if I gotta die, I'm gonna kill you too
And
because
which is what she did,
my lineage is still going to live on.
which was
That
romantic,
was that
But not
that was
if she gets killed too.
which he did.
but she killed but
Which
as
she
you
did.
see but this is my thing. As you see, she went for nobody but her husband because that's the only person that her daughter is gonna let in that house besides her. You feel me? So like she wasn't aiming for none of them other. She only wanted to kill her husband because
The more
in her mind,
the deeper messaging I got out of it was the fact that people can be completely embedded in your community and they still gonna look out for themselves, not for you. Because even when shit started to go
but I
left at the
got that
very
too.
beginning, before they figured out what was going on, she was like, we just came here to serve food. It's time to go. But
Yep,
y'all
and
grew up
send
with these
his
motherfuckers
ass
just like
Right.
outside. Go
everybody
get the
else.
Yeah.
car ready.
I definitely got that too.
Because like
But
that, if you want to talk about whose fault it is that all this shit started, like you sent the motherfucker outside. Like the
right.
You
part
killed
You
ain't
him.
good for
you kill
you.
him. You made him go outside by himself.
Yep. And for what? When y'all could have just gotten the motherfucking car and left if that was the case. I mean,
So
y'all both would have
right,
been dead,
but you
but
see,
like,
everybody who got in the car and left, they never made it
And
though.
I mean, they
Too.
all became
yeah, but
vampires.
she didn't know that at the time.
She didn't.
Now
She
that's
didn't.
interesting because I want to know how he did. Was technically at that moment there should have only been four vampires:
And how to
the
get
three white people and Cornbread,
Yeah,
right.
because Mary was still in the house at this moment.
right.
So you're not going to tell me how they got all. None of them niggas was able. Oh wait a minute. The
No.
cars have front
No.
tires?
Mary was already out because remember she ran out and then they was like party over.
We're gonna kill all you niggas. Cause
Right.
that's what I heard in my head. Her white side came out. I'm gonna kill all you niggas.
Oh Jesus.
Am I wrong?
Listen.
No.
Listen.
That's what Mary gave.
That's
That's
what Mary
okay.
definitely gave.
I also thought it was really interesting because, which I didn't catch on my own, I saw somebody else's video talk about it, was that the reason why the door was locked was because he was locked them in there,
Wait, say that
Mary,
again. You
and
broke up.
the reason why the door was locked at the end when the KKK came back to get them, the door was locked. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason why the door was locked was because smoke.
Vampires were in there. Yep.
No.
The
Well,
brother. The
yes,
brother was
no,
in
the
there.
brothers, the old girl and him were still in there, and so they locked them in there. So the KK he continued to protect him basically, and so the KKK was couldn't get in to get to them, and that didn't occur to me when they first like when I watched it the first time.
But that doesn't make sense either because they show you at the end of
They
it,
ran.
they ran. And if they were
That
inside the
she
barn,
ran,
he would have
she ran,
died.
she
No, they
ran, but
ran
he didn't.
They ran
together. No,
together.
they ran
No, they
together.
didn't.
Yeah, they
I
Yes, she
did.
promise
no, they
you,
didn't. She was
they
dragging him.
They
at the very
She was
was
dragging
holding
him like,
hands.
get your ass on.
she ran off into the woods, and at the very end, you never see what happens to him. He's standing over him with the thing, and he's like,
Right.
and he's but that they don't show anything after that. That's why you don't even know that he lived.
No, they run
No, we're
after
talking
that.
about the very, very end part with Coogie's sweater.
I'm not talking about that. I'm
Oh,
talking about when they're at the KKK part. I'm
Oh,
not
so
talking
oh,
about at
that's
the end of
before
the
that.
movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You don't know.
I'm
Okay,
talking
KKK
about they
back.
locked the
Yeah,
door
yeah.
to the mill so that he could be safe from the KKK. I'm not
Oh,
talking
so
about the
that's yeah.
very very
That's what I'm
end.
saying. The reason why I don't think that makes sense is because he would they both of them, Mary and whatever, would have been too close in proximity to when the other vampire died. They would have died also.
But they
The
didn't. They
the
said that they
only
wouldn't
reason
have
they
died from that.
didn't die because they were out of proximity.
I don't think that's what it is. I think they said that they could because inside when they're fighting, I think it's the Asian wife that says they're starting to feel pain. They could feel that person's pain.
No,
The
that was
reason
his.
why they
That was
all
the
got
baby
the
mother. That was
the reason they all died wasn't because the guy died. It's because the sun started coming up. The
No,
only people, yes, the only people that lived it when he got hit in the head,
they
it
all
was the
felt
same time
that.
they all felt it, but that wasn't going to kill
No,
them. They said that
yeah,
killing
okay,
him
yeah,
wasn't going to kill
yeah.
everybody. The thing that killed all the rest of the
Was the sun?
vampires is
Yes,
because the sun came up.
that I
And
can
so
agree
the
with.
reason why they lived is because old boy was still in the building, so he didn't get hit with the sun. And I don't know where the fuck she was.
I gotta rewatch it because I swore
Yeah,
they
I
ran
don't.
away
I don't think
together.
They
that's what
didn't. They didn't.
happened.
I'm telling you, I watched it twice, and one of them was last night, and I was sober. They didn't run away together. She
Oh,
ran
so
off into the
you're
woods by herself.
implying you're implying that our vision might have been skewered because we were underneath the substance of something. I,
Possibly, but
I
that is
feel
between
triggered.
you and
I
whomever.
I
But
feel triggered.
no,
mean,
but
the
that
AMC sells drinks, so I'm just saying the AMC sells drinks.
it's a wonderful thing. They do that down here too. I think I think it was a beautiful thing. But yeah, no, that's what it was. She ran off into the forest by herself because I was trying to figure out how she ended up back with him. And they end where you see them, the brothers, inside the mill, and you never see them again. He doesn't come out.
I thought that at the very end when he pulled down the coffin because it was a coffin, not not a casket. It was a coffin.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he had someone in that coffin when he picked it up and it was really like firearms.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
it was someone. I thought it was a body in that coffin
Yeah,
at that moment.
I didn't know what was about to happen at that part.
Because you sending homeboy off. Because I would think, even though it's light out at night, I'm like, God should know at this point it's better. Y'all better in numbers. And so you sent him on his own, and you stayed there. I was wondering, like, I know he started seeing shit. He saw his family and all the other shit, and that was beautiful. Because technically, they don't ever show him officially dead. Dead. They showed him
No.
shot, yes,
Yeah. No.
but they don't show him officially dead. Dead.
Mm-mm. It's more
So we
implied
don't
by
know. That's
the
another way that that could turn into a part two too, because we don't know how long the brother lived for,
true.
and
Or
how
or if
long
he even
before.
died.
Yeah, if he even died, because that's what I'm saying. Because obviously they talked about whichever one it is told me to stay away from you, and he'll let me live. But at the same time, right? When were they able to have that conversation?
It would have had to have been when he was over him with the thing, and then it
The
cuts
grill
out,
bag.
and they go fight, and they show what's his face outside, and then it would have to be right. It would have had to have been right then.
Mm.
That would have been the only time they could have had it.
That's what I'm like. They definitely gave themselves room for part two.
Definitely. Probably like 6 parts.
Oof. I mean, it definitely if you give everyone who survived their own story arc because
Yeah.
I
baby.
really I want to see for me it would be
Oh, that's a
the
good
nigga.
question. If there was another story you saw, we can end with that question. If there was another story that you got that was told from whatever you saw, what would you want that story to be? Like the next movie from all of that. What would you want
So
it to be?
me, I would want to see. Ooh, I would either want. So I got two.
Okay.
I'm a Gemini, so I gotta. That was also a thing for me when they was fighting each other. It was.
Oh yeah, was that did that do weird shit to you being a Gemini?
It did.
Yeah, he had a
It
moment.
definitely
He
did.
told me, he
I
was
had.
like, well, I was over on this side.
I had.
He was like, yo, this is a little weird for me right now.
Yeah.
That's what you feel like all the time. Like you're fighting your twin.
But listen, internally, some days. Um, but yeah. So I would love to see the twin origin story. About how he actually killed his father and all of
Oh,
that.
Yes.
like the prequel.
Like
Okay.
him
Yeah,
and
I would like
Capone,
I
all
would
that.
like to see I would like to see a smokestack story,
Okay.
like origin story. Um, but because I'm also like a history, I would also like to see the natives' origin story of like how everything started. So I think those would be like my two interests would be the smokestack story, but also because you know the whole preacher son thing that got to me as well.
That's what I thought.
Um,
Y'all was the first thing y'all was gonna talk about. I'm surprised.
no, that also got to me as well. There was a lot of things in this movie for me.
A
Um,
lot.
yeah.
I,
So
yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
yeah. I had to do some deep dives. I got my cards read after that too. But we could talk about that on another time.
Oh, I didn't know you read. Oh, I'm about to call you.
But 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 yeah, so those would be my two takes. Definitely. Next two stories would be like the origin story of Smoking Stack and the origin story of the natives would be my two.
What about you, Victoria?
So I agree with the natives, probably for different reasons. I believe because in a lot of different indigenous tribes and a lot of different non-white, cultures. Like I've also heard that vampires are just like demons that are trapped, in the souls or whatever like
Yeah.
that, right? So I know when within indigenous culture, I don't know all of it because I'm not, I'm not that indigenous for me to like, and I wasn't given through to me, but whatever case may be. I know they have a lot of history and lore around shapeshifters and body snatchers because you see more and more at the end of the movie, the vampire started taking on more monstrous. Like he went from having 5 fingers to like 4 fingers, and then they were like really like long and so like almost like Nosferatu's fingers, and the
And like how the side of
claws.
their faces started to do weird shit.
Yeah, like for instance, like Cornbread when he got shot or whatever, like his face went up, and
Yeah,
so
he
you saw
like turned
like
into like Candyman. Like it was wild.
and so like with the vampire too. Well, they were all vampire, but like the white boy. Um, his face had got cut up on here, and I think it was beyond the hitting of the thing, the silver going in him. So you saw the rest of his teeth, and like they were long canine like. So it was like almost like he was in transition to turning into like a bat type
Yeah.
tease. So there's a lot of lore in like indigenous culture about shape shifting and body snatching. And so when I saw the indigenous people come, you see when it started getting late, they were like, all right, so we out. We out.
Yeah, they saw
He
that.
said,
They saw that hood in that back room and were like, "Okay, clearly we're not making work.
right,
Y'all got it."
you got it. And if you invited him in, you already did. Have a blessed day.
Pretty much.
So I want to see their side because there's a lot to be said there about that. Also, my other my other major one, the shade is I just gonna sound so fucked up possibly. I'm not trying to sound anti-black. I want to hear everyone but the black side. I'm gonna tell you why. I want to hear the Asian side because when Lisa left, Lisa was looking at them people like Lisa was pissed. Lisa was
She
noticeably
was pissed.
pissed
I did notice
off.
that.
So I want to know what happened with Miss Lisa for her to be that pissed off.
That's true.
Did that make her anti-black because she could be like, the black people came and took my parents away and then they're dead.
Well, and it was hard to tell why she was pissed.
Exactly.
Like,
She was
was she pissed
mad,
at
big
her? I
mad.
couldn't tell if she was pissed at her parents. Like, y'all leave him at this fucking store. Y'all about to go do it. Like, it was hard to tell why she was mad.
Yeah. Like,
But at
so
the end of the
Lisa,
day, Lisa an orphan.
right,
She
Lisa's a
is.
whole ass
And what the
orphan.
fuck happened to her? Like, who that? Where? What the fuck happened to
To
her?
Baby, she got 2
piggyback that,
swords. She
she
okay.
could, all right,
Well,
I'm
unless they came and
security.
took all that shit because she couldn't fight it off. Like,
And she couldn't afford to maintain it.
But also, did Lisa have brothers and sisters,
they
or it
ain't
was just Lisa?
show them
They
if
ain't show
if
them.
she did.
Oh,
And if I
okay.
make no mistake, on the window, it said Bo, whatever the woman's name, and Lisa, and then last name. So
Oh,
I'm
I didn't even
assuming,
notice
I didn't
that.
see that part.
if I'm assuming it was only 3 of them, but that don't stop her from having feelings. So I want to know, did she become like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, some shit like that?
Well,
Like,
and
what's up?
also depending on when they immigrated culturally, a lot of times Asian families only have one child.
I was
Yep,
going to say
especially
that too.
especially specifically Chinese, because technically Lisa shouldn't have lived.
Right,
If we're being
Yeah,
because she was
Lisa
a
should have
girl.
technical,
been.
Because she
Lisa
was a
should have
Yeah,
been
she's
girl.
a
Right.
clipped.
girl.
Right.
Right.
Rawr,
Only
rawr,
boy.
that chick, like she would have been clipped.
Yeah.
And other than that, I want to know the origin of the Irish dude because there's so much context with that because Irish people alone, like, some people don't like to acknowledge her, but like even in Santeria, hoodoo, and voodoo, there is
Black Irish.
Mademoiselle Brigitte.
And
Mademoiselle
there's
Brigitte is the only white one.
and so many Christian origins are pagan,
Yep.
and that's
She
Irish.
came over. She's the only white, as long as I know, she's the only white Loa in like in that trifecta of religions or spirituality situations. She's the only white one, and she came from Ireland.
Yeah.
So there could be a connection with that because I was like, the first I was like, okay, I saw the 3 coins. I thought of Judas because she was like, "What is this?" I don't never seen coin. She was like, "This is money from a different time. Yeah, I don't have money like that." Like it gave very much that, and that's why I looked at it. I was like, "Ooh, this is a Judas reference." And so I was like, "Ooh, the betraying Jesus situation, all that situation." I was like, I want to know because it could go so many ways because it could give, yes, he could be, or he could just be from the old Irelands when, like I said, when the Welsh came over and took over their lands and called them like, heathens for
Well,
believing in
yeah,
the ground and all
they
that
took their
stuff.
culture, they
They
took
took their
their music,
culture.
they took their
But
religion, they
but
took
yeah,
their
he
language.
talked about that. Remember when he started praying, Our
Ooh!
Father. He
That's going
said,
in my article, right?
he said,
That's going, that part right there specifically. That part, I even changed the name of the article, bitch, because I was like,
That's where
there was
that
a
quote
quote
came.
from that movie.
That quote. Where that quote I sent you came from. Was that part?
The,
listen.
the
He
one you sent,
said,
that's
he
the
said,
one you sent me was the one
yeah.
that was like, they stripped away, they forced their culture on us, but they can't take the blue, something like that.
Was it that one?
I'm talking.
Oh, maybe it
That's the
was.
one that's what I remember you
Maybe
said.
it was. Maybe it was.
And
You're
then
right.
what really got me, what made me change my name to the article was they said we couldn't handle the truth, so they lied to us. So that's what I changed the article to. That title.
Oh, yes. I like that. I like that.
So
I
it
can't wait to
gave
read the
me.
article.
Me too.
I mean, I'm looking forward to because I was just like I said, I was a mess. I cried twice, 2 to 3 times in that movie theater. Like, and I'm like ruined my makeup and everything. I'm like,
It's funny. I think I was trying to watch it so critically the first time I didn't get emotional, but I got emotional the second time. So
let me
since I was listening to y'all and not thinking
let me
about my
give you a
answer,
hormone shot, and then you go watch, and you'll feel differently.
no, bitch, I cry about everything. But I think I had like my Virgo on at the time, so I was like trying to catch all the things and whatever, all the symbolism and whatever. So second time I could just like watch it with my heart, I think. So it was a little bit different experience. But I wasn't listening. I was listening to y'all, so I didn't think about what I would want my my movie to be, because I just want to hear what you had to say. But what I will say in regards to what you both kind of said was one of the things, like, this is why I think Ryan Coogler's a fucking genius. Like, I love the way people's mind think and the way that he's just, there's so many layered, like, he's just, that shit is, spend the afternoon in that man's head would be something special. So anyway, apparently in the, what is the, not Apple Music, what's the music thing, that music app?
Spotify?
Spotify. In the Spotify playlist for the movie, he left news articles that you can go look at. And one of them is the Valentine's Day Massacre, which is when a ship from Ireland came over, and by the time it got here, all it was there was no people,
Yeah,
it was just blood. It was blood everywhere. There wasn't it. There was, they don't know what happened and whatever. So that is an indication that somehow must have to do with the vampire story, because like that was what they showed in the Spotify playlist for sinners, and the fact that in real life, Al Capone and I forget what the Irish mobster guy's name was, they really did go to war with each other, and that's how both of them ended up like getting killed off, because they thought the other one had stole each other's liquor. So the way that he could build real historical
References.
stories into that, and it all make sense. So I would like to see all of those kind of things, like all the historical points that he built into the storyline. Like I would like to see those things get touched on. So like as you watch it, you can be like, oh shit, that's why this was. And like him find ways I feel like only him and probably Stephen King could, because that's the only other person whose brain I've ever seen work like that, could like pull out things from the original movie that won't have any significance to us standing alone. But once we see the shit in the other movie, you'd be like, oh, and that's why he blah 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 blah. Like that would be what I would want to see, because like that shit would blow my mind. Like I'd watch it 1,000 times. Like, oh my god, there's another thing. Like those Easter eggs, just I love smart ass people that can think on that complex of a level and like blow my mind. I would also like to see old girl and what's his face's like journey through
Mary and whatever, what
vampire,
happened between the time they left.
journey
I was gonna
through.
say I want to see that as well. Like
That would be just, it would just be interesting to see how they managed to make it through all of these different
to get to the
like
90s.
cultures.
Right.
Like that would be interesting. Plus, I think it would be interesting to see the kid's life, like how he, because it was interesting how he acted when, like, the way the sides that y'all, all three answers y'all found to the end part, like none of those were really what I got into it. We don't need to even get into that because that's another half-hour conversation. But like, I didn't really get any of that out of it. But what I did think was interesting was his reaction, because I felt like he knew it was them when they asked to get let in.
Yeah. Because why
And
would someone say that? Like that specific thing, like that specific way, like we're closed, you know it's closed. Hey, can I be invited in? Can I come see? Blah blah. They was said specific, like a certain way. I felt like that it indicated to him what time it was.
And I feel like he had so much. I feel like part of the reason why he didn't trip out on them is because he still has so much love and respect for both the twins, that I just think that overshadowed, and the fact that it was like, you got to think this
Family.
man became but I don't even know if it was about family necessarily. It's like them specifically, because like the pastor was his family too, and his mama, and I don't know. I think it was his reverence specifically for the two of them.
Yes.
And the fact that, I mean, you got to think this man is now famous. He's rich. He owns stuff. He did a bunch of shit. He 90 or whatever the hell he was. Like, but that day was the most free he ever felt, and the best day of his life, even though he's riddled with nightmares. Like, that's why it was struck me when you were talking, Victoria, about like the family thing, like that you really get out of this, like it's the same way I feel about triggers. Like, can't nobody trigger you. That's your own landmines that people can step on, but how you react to them is about you, not the other person. And so like, you really get out of this movie whatever it was that resonated with you for a personal reason. So like, I didn't take it as family at all. it was more so like he just had so much love and respect for those brothers. And I don't know if it was because they gave him the guitar. I don't know if it was that day. I don't know what it was exactly, but I
I feel like it was because they was free.
mm,
Because in his eyes where he was
They got
standing
away
at,
from the plantation.
yeah,
they got away
and
they actually got a
church
no,
and
they actually got away from the
They
family.
yeah,
And
they
that's
literally
what
said
it
that.
in his eyes, like that was his freedom, was
yes,
getting from behind his father in religion and what he was supposed to be. And
yes.
even though and it shows in that scene when he said, "You gonna go back to the church, you gonna forget about this, this is the last night you gonna play here." And he said, "You might as well shoot me right now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yep.
You
He
might as well
literally said it.
you
I'm going
might
to
as
be as
well
free
shoot
as y'all.
you might as well shoot me right now," because that's not a life that he ever wanted to live.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So he's seen his
He
cousins
chose
as
him to survive.
Mhm.
he's seen his cousins he's seen his cousins as like free, you
Yeah.
know? And like that's why he looked up to them. That's why he wanted to be like them. That's why he wanted to, you know,
They were the embodiment because not only did they escape, but they came back. They came back with money, supplies. So it's to me, there's no different than how some people like, oh, like I think about Nas in the song like "You Can Hate Me Now." He was like, "I brought a Grammy back to the hood." Like so many people leave the hood for greener fields and greener pastures, and he was like, "No, I still came back.
You know
I brought it
what
back
I
home."
caught? You know what I caught the second time that I didn't catch the first time with that part is, did you notice that even after everything happened, when Smoke is the one that lived, right?
We
Well,
Stack,
don't. I
like
can't remember.
didn't
stack.
turn into a
Well,
vampire. Which
stack,
one didn't
stack
turn
is the
into a
one.
vampire?
Stack. Oh, Stack was the vampire. Smoke was the one with the
Smoke.
family.
Okay, so did what I didn't catch the first time I watched it, but I did catch the second time I watched it, is that Smoke, even after all that was done, and he like gives him the car keys and like they hug and whatever, he was sending him back to the church to
Yes.
have that regular
Yes.
life.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it still didn't resonate with him. Like why he was stepping away from religion, why he was stepping away his own life. That he still wanted to go to Chicago. Like he still even he wasn't free enough to be able to understand why this baby would rather deal with vampires and his daddy hating him and whatever the fuck else he was gonna have to deal with, and racism and whatever he was gonna find. Oh, that was the other thing when they said in the that quote that all Chicago is Mississippi with big buildings instead of plantations. I was like, woo! As a girl raised in the North and living in the South, that shit hit for me. Cause damn it, if that ain't, I ain't never heard a truer word spoken.
It
But yeah, it was
definitely
interesting to
was.
me that Smoke still didn't get it. Like
I mean, it seems about Black because it's like, okay, you just saw the devil, and like they said, how many times you gonna dance with the devil before the
speaking in
devil comes with you
tongues,
home?
speaking in tongues.
Literally, because I mean, he was like, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't even believe in zombie Jesus, but guess what I do believe in,
What?
bitch. I see some shit like that. I may have to get on my knees too. Okay, so you know what? Look, I hear you, right? Okay. Someone, we gonna have to have a conversation. Miss Thing, you tried me today, but I get
See,
it. I hear
it
you,
turned me so sideways off of Christian. Like, if ever I was turned off of
baby.
Christianity, it was in that movie. Like, I walked out of that movie like, well, guess there's no going back now. Like, I just
I don't know if we're allowed to have this
that was
conversation.
the
We
message
Well,
don't
that was
I'll
loud and
look
say
clear
like
for me.
we don't want to
as
trigger people.
as a preacher's son, um, and a preacher's grandson.
Oh, you two generations deep? Oh,
My grandmother was my grandmother, my great grandmother, my great grandmother was like the mother of the church. Like I grew up in it 6 days a week, sometimes
mine were
seven.
Jehovah's Witnesses, so I didn't really have that. That what
Yeah, I
Ah,
mean,
is
you know, my
different,
daddy a
different
pastor, my
experience.
my
gotcha.
my daddy a pastor, my grandmother a pastor. This church is owned on both sides of my family. We're a real religious bunch. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm not a religious. You know, it's funny because I feel like religion was like deeply rooted in my family. Um, but I also feel like it only like really stuck with like half of us. And then the
Hmm.
other half is like it does and it honestly it doesn't even matter which side of the family it is, but it's still like I feel like it only stuck with like half of us. Like I'm a very spiritual person, but I also believe like I believe that like religion is not for everybody, and I don't really feel like that there is. I don't see how there can be a right religion. So that's where I'm like stuck at. I don't feel like with the everything that everybody believes and everybody's culture being different, I just don't see how there can be a right religion.
Right.
I think religion should be based on like morals and principles, yes. But I also understand why people believe in religion because I feel like everybody needs to have faith in something. And what you believe in your faith, that has nothing to do with me. As long as you believe in something that keeps you going every single day, I have no problem with what it is. What I have a problem with is people who try to push their religion and their beliefs and their faith onto other people as their religion they say is superior and things like that. So that's what I have a problem with. But I don't have a problem with people believing in anything that they want to believe in. I just think that a person should have a faith in something higher than their
Okay.
self.
Yeah, I don't have a
You-
problem with any religion either, but this period in time has crystallized for me a little bit more what I do and don't believe in. Like I just the introduction of Christianity to our people and the reasons why will just always be
For me as well.
will
I can
always
agree.
it will
I
always I can't remember which one of y'all I sent this quote to because I think it was one of y'all, but like for me the biggest lie that has ever been told to the Black community is that the Black church saved them, because it wasn't the Black church that saved them, it was community, culture, and music. But unfortunately the oppressors would only let us access that in church. And so it got confused. That
mm-hmm.
messaging got confused that the church saved us, but it was actually just the only place that we could access music, culture, and community.
Yeah, I'm writing about that for the following month about that topic because I'm like so much about that in the movie was brought up and it brought up so many things of like thinking about my ancestors and some of the stories that my mother and grandmother would tell me about some of our relatives. Like, they're like, this person was an amazing baker. She was so smart, so intelligent, but she couldn't read nor write. And how many times we have in our history, um, there was like, grandma, how do you make your favorite cake? Oh, well, it's a pinch of this, a dash of that. Mommy, what's the bad? I can't tell you. It's a pinch. You'll know it.
You make it by taste is what my
Yep.
grandmother used to say.
When the
The rest,
ancestors whisper in your ear and tell you to stop, that's when. Like, I know we got Creole. We are from South Carolina originally. We are from Nigeria and the Congo before that. When I tell you that I would give anything to be able to figure out who was the hoodoo somebody in that line, to be able to connect with them and understand like that part of our culture, because hoodoo is built on Christianity, it's built on Native American, indigenous medicine, it's root
Yeah.
work. And so like that is where I am focusing my faith at this point. Like it's the only thing that feels true and that doesn't, exactly what you said, T, doesn't say one religion's bad or good. It takes pieces and it encourages you to tap into the knowledge of your ancestors and understand that that power that you're looking for in the rest of the world also lives in you,
Yeah.
because that's so like that is like this movie, like everything, like I said, everybody got out of this movie what they needed to get out of this movie. That was
I want
what
some more.
that's what that gave to me, because I think I have always tried to fit myself in religious groups, because like to a large degree, and this is no shade to anybody watching, but to a large degree religion teaches you to stop thinking.
Yeah.
Don't think, just believe the things that we tell you are true and just leave it at that. And so since I didn't grow up in that foundation, I have critically thought about every religion that I have been a part of, because I also started going to Black churches. I went to Kojic churches for years. I explored, I learned about Buddhism because I'm like, maybe this is the thing and whatever. Like, I've explored a lot of different religious direction because I wasn't born into, I was born into Jehovah's Witnesses, but then my dad got kicked out and whatever. So like I wasn't born into a strong religious foundation,
Hmm.
and all the people around me were different things. My grandmother on the other side was Catholic, but they also weren't really practicing like that by the time I came around. So like I
Yeah.
had to figure it out. And so for me, that's the path that feels the most authentic to me and our people, and doesn't diminish anybody else's understanding or belief system. So from
Hmm.
here on out, like I'm just done searching now. Like I'm done searching for the religion that I feel like doesn't try to kill off or disallow the existence of any of the people I love or pieces of myself. And
Team spirituality.
here she is. Like for years I like read into Santeria and whatever. Like I know some things from home and people and whatever, but like that didn't quite right for me either. So like hoodoo is where I'm landing.
Yeah, what I like about that is like it allows you basically to, because it's like there's obviously tons of church witches that people don't want to talk about, but here it is, right?
Prophesizers and
And
things.
so people don't want to call a spade, but that's fine. It is what it is. But like, yeah, I'm with something that it's like allows me to have my own critical thinking, sees me for who I am, not who I was or what I was, and can help me. Like I'm trying to learn from the people that were here beforehand, because they say you don't learn from history, you do it repeat it, which
Amen.
is why I feel like so many references from that movie make a lot of fucking sense, y'all. A
Amen.
lot of sense. And what happened in that movie, if you can think critically, you see it's happening right now. Even down to when he killed that Klan member, and he said he called him nigger. 2 seconds later, begging for his life, and what was the thing out his mouth? I've
Got money.
got money.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, so you think you can treat me and talk to me however you want just because you have money? Wow, that sounds like a colonizing appropriator right now in Brooklyn, trying to buy up some land from some people that they was told was undesirable because a bunch of Negroes and Hispanics live there, and now it's the newest hotspot for people who don't like to wear deodorant like crystals. So
That's. But this was a dope ass conversation. I don't ever go live on IG, so I'm hoping that I can download and be able to upload it to our YouTube channel. But we shall all find out together because I don't know if that's
I
a thing.
believe you can. When you close it out, read the options because it'll probably tell you like, do you want to save this? Blah 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 blah. Because even if it doesn't, you go underneath your account. As long as it doesn't have like a music on it, like if you like record something, you go live with it, like it should be able to download it. You just
Okay,
won't have
good.
the audio. You had music on it,
Okay,
so
cool.
you should be able to.
So
So
hopefully,
before we leave, we didn't read the comments. Shay was saying his grandfather was a very big spiritual chief in West Africa, and he led people through Dakar, and he did so much for the folks over there. And
Oh, nice.
he's been an eclectic spiritual practitioner for 15 plus years. Most recently, he's been connecting to his African spiritual line.
that's so.
And Shay is gonna also Shay is Manning Productions. So if y'all want to check out his page, let me give him a shout out because he always link me to a lot of things. He's in the Albany, New York area. So if y'all go check out his page, he is having a summer soiree coming up in July, and it's a free white party that he throws every year. So if you are in the Albany area in July, definitely RSVP for that party. You could definitely check it out for our Shay, because I wasn't able to make the party last year, and I was upset because I seen all them pictures and the people looked like they was having a good time. So I'm hoping that me and Blackout Magazine can make it this year and get some good pictures and coverage. July 12th at the YWCA in Troy, New York. So, yeah,
Dope.
definitely come on. I know it's always some good food. The culture looked dope out there from the pictures I seen. I've been to Albany a few times. So it looked like a really good party out there, and I'm hoping to make it this year and see what Troy got to offer me.
Cool. Well, my
I mean,
phone
it
is on
sounds
about
good.
3%. So if we don't end this live, live is going to end us.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, thank you, Victoria, for coming out.
yes, our
We
very first
appreciate.
special guest.
Yes, you are our very first special guest. We look forward to having more. Y'all could have been anywhere, but y'all here with us, and we appreciate y'all. So be safe.
Be safe.
Peace, love,
Go find some food,
peace, love, and soul, and don't invite nobody in your house.
especially
Mm.
melanin deficient. Y'all have a blessed one.